and welcome back at last to the Blue Tardis podcast series 2. I am so sorry I've been away for such a long time, but things had to happen, unfortunately. Can't help it. Things happen. Anyway, apart from that, we are joined by a very, very special guest today. Please introduce yourself, good sir.
Hi, I'm back to do another one of these. Bloody joy.
You love it, really. You love it, really. So today we shall be watching The Impossible Planet. Next week will be The Satan Pit. So, yeah, it's no longer going to be released a day after. So, deal with it, really. Just deal with it. Right, should we begin?
We shall begin.
If you would like to watch it with us, please press play right now. There we go. Oh dear. Feels good to be back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's been such a long time. Like, in all fairness, I've been waiting for an excuse to come back to this, right? I've just been waiting and waiting and waiting. But it's more of like I couldn't bring myself to record them, or I couldn't bring myself to edit them, or just do anything, because I just wanted to take a lot of time off of it. And now that I have, I feel like I can just record a couple of episodes again. I mean, that just makes perfect sense to me. Right? And it does.
You've just got other things to do.
Yeah. I've just got other things to do. Like, spoiler, I don't make any money off of these. This is just a hobby, and hobbies come and die. But, some hobbies live on. And it would feel wrong not to finish off Series 2.
It'd be rude otherwise.
It would be. And especially on the 60th year of Doctor Who. Especially with David Tennant as the Doctor again.
Possibly the only and possible time a previous Doctor will come back as a separate incarnation. Yeah,
I don't think any other Doctor will do that, and I seriously doubt it will ever happen again. But I can, honest to God, see like Tom Baker, as like the curator, actually being the Doctor. I know he basically wasn't the 50th, but fuck me, the Ood. I generally forgot how scary the Ood actually were in this. They are a bit scary, especially for a younger audience.
Well, especially if you view them from the back, they do look phallic.
They do, yeah. They do.
I think we do have a backwards view of this, of them at some point in the episode.
Yeah, there they are. They do look like a cock, don't they? So, this is the Star Beast intro, so there we go. And speaking of the Star Beast, right, the trailer's come out. The trailer came out yesterday for the third time. So, as we're recording this, so, like, my God.
Besides stroking aside, what do you think of the trailer?
I mean, it's a trailer. I mean, in all fairness, it could be better. Please come back, Mac Jones. Please.
Off topic there, halfway.
Please come back. You're such a good writer for this. If you are hungry, fucking love it. I mean, fucking bullshit, but there we go. Anyway, back to it. With the trailer, it was a trailer at the end of the day. The visuals were absolutely incredible. And they really were. That's just the Disney money coming in, though, isn't it?
If it is Disney doing this.
I mean, I think it is. I really do think it is. If not, fucking fair play BBC. Because it looks amazing.
Because I don't know the terms of the contract with Disney, if the specials are part of it or not, so...
I'm not sure, actually. I'm really not sure. Is it just Shooty, or is it with David Tennant moving onwards? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
It's something to wonder about.
Don't get me wrong. Right, I think that the Star Beast, Wild Blue Yonder, and the Giggle are going to be decent episodes. Right.
Granted, with the Giggle, it definitely needed a better name.
I definitely needed a better name than the Giggle. I'm sorry, but that name you cannot take seriously. Right.
It sounds too placeholdery.
Yeah. Even that's just the way RTD wanted it. Right. And I can't believe that RTD is actually coming back to Doctor Who. Like, what the fuck? Seriously.
I've got nothing against the lad, but of all people...
Of all people to come back, I wouldn't have expected RTD to.
Let alone...
That sounded really bad. R2D2.
That's a completely different...
It's a completely different fucking program, Sam. But it's just... You know, I wouldn't have expected RTD to come back. Possibly Moffat to come back for all of it, because we all know how he loves to do his firsts.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, now that RTD is actually coming back, what do you honestly God think of RTD as a writer?
Well, in a way, rose tinted glasses on. Obviously, this is where majority of people jumped on, including myself.
Yeah, same here.
So obviously, I would have rose tinted glasses for this area, especially like this episode we're watching.
This episode's absolutely incredible, by the way. I love this episode.
The only good episode of this series.
It really is. It really is. Like, Series 2 was seriously faltered. Like, Tooth and Claw's a good episode. You can watch that podcast now if you'd like to. Love and Monsters, the episode after Satan Pit. You should know more than anyone else how bad that is.
It's a guilty pleasure, I will admit.
It's a guilty pleasure. Fuck off, is it? It's awful.
It's awful, but you're laughing because of how awful it is. Like Orphan 55.
Like, I love Orphan 55. I think it's a great episode. But yeah, like, RTD coming back, I'm happy he's back, but at the same time, I always look forward to see what's new, not looking back.
Yeah.
I know that this podcast is basically looking back, but
not the point
it's not the point what I'm making. Like, I always look forward to see what's new with the show and what else it can do, rather than just looking back at the golden years of Doctor Who, which, by the way, the RTD years were not the golden year. I'm sorry, they just weren't. Right? We've had far better episodes, even with Chibnall, right, than what we have had with RTD.
Love it or hate Chibnall.
Yeah, love or hate Chibnall. Me personally, I couldn't give a fuck. Right? But I would say that Chibnall's writing, right, regardless of how cluttered and like disorganised his plot lines were, I do think are simply better episodes for someone just to jump onto and watch. Take Flux, for example. Flux was an incredible series.
Yeah.
Episode. Like, the episode Flux was brilliant. I loved that. I loved it so much. It went straight back towards the classics, which, I think now, in all fairness, that every single series should sort of follow that rule. Going back towards like a whole serial, just how it was back in the classic era. And to be fair, no one complained about that. No one.
Or at least none that we know of were complaining.
Yeah, no one that we know of was realistically really complaining about it. Not for complaining's sake, anyway. Like, people who complain for complaining's sake, just don't ever listen to them, because you can't ever make them happy. But people with genuine complaints, sure, I'll listen to every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I will just say, like, visuals nowadays blow this episode out the water. But, the visuals for this episode are still really, really good.
Sure, just like that exterior shot of the base does age.
Oh yeah, it really does age. Like, you can tell it's all CG. Like, you can tell it's really bad, like, PS3 graphics, you know.
But the effect on the black hole and how accurate...
Yeah, that's the scary thing of how accurate that black hole was.
Because this episode was way before that infamous...
Yeah, I love
NASA.
that picture so much. That's got to be one of my favourite all-time pictures. Like, honestly, I love it. So, this episode, right, I will say I have got a couple of complaints about it, right? And I suppose, you know, we are 10 minutes in. We should actually start talking about the episode. But it's so hard. There's so much to catch up about. But we'll do that over the episode. But this episode I do have a couple complaints about. For one thing, like, the characters here, right? The people in the base. Yes, you know them, but I don't think that you'd realistically remember all their names after an hour of actually watching it. And I really don't think you will. Like, apart from Toby, because he's basically the villain inside of the base.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, spoilers.
Oh, sorry. Spoilers for 2006 episode. Sorry. Sorry, everyone. Sorry. I'll see myself out.
But honestly, like, take like this gent and this lass just on.
You would never ever know them. You'd never know them an hour after the episode. And sure, that's not to do with the names. That's also to do with just their personalities. Because their personalities do not shine in this episode at all. They're all generic person 1, generic person 2, generic person 3. You know?
Yeah.
They're practically red shirts at this point. They're all just practically red shirts waiting to die. You know?
I think the lass does die in the next 10 minutes as well.
I think she does, yeah.
Oh, again, another bloody spoiler.
Sorry. But, you know, the Ood are fine, but they're nothing new, if that makes any sense. Yes, they're new, but they're nothing really new. Like, of course humans have had slaves for years and years and years, and it would be a bit too on the nose if they were, like, coloured black, for instance, and it would be a bit too on the nose.
Considering also the captain, or acting captain here, is also black.
Yeah, bit too on the nose. But, you know, I would say, like, you know, having a slave race of aliens is nothing new. We've seen that in tons of media. Like, you know, that's nothing new. And especially even in Doctor Who, that's nothing new. You know?
Yeah.
There's nothing new in Doctor Who. You know, don't get me wrong, they look good. They look iconic. But they're nothing realistically new. I will say the episode for atmosphere and character building and colours as well, it really does excel at. The atmosphere and the character building of the episode.
And subtext as well.
Yeah, the subtext in it as well really does shine. It's what stands out in this episode the most and what's made it such a good episode. Right? But you would struggle to name all 5 or 6. I can't even remember how many people there are in this episode.
Outside of Doctor and Rose.
Outside of Dr. Rose, Toby, and the Ood. I generally can't realistically recall the amount of people in this episode. I don't think even one of them I don't even think actually has a name.
I think it's the one that dies. You know.
I don't know. And like, I just, it irritates me because it's so close to being perfect, but yet so far from it because you just won't remember the episode afterward. Like, especially not Impossible Planet. Satan Pit, on the other hand, yes, you will remember. Because that just turns into a base undersea story.
which Doctor Who thrives on for the last 60 years or so.
Yeah. Every time there's a base undersea story, it's always a banger. We all know this. Right? No matter what enemy it is, no matter what setting it is, base under siege is absolutely fine. Right? Don't get me wrong, this episode needed to be a base under siege. And it just did. But, you know, could have been a bit better. Could have been a bit better. Also the music as well. The music is absolutely incredible. I love the music in this. And to be fair, it's very similar to Heaven Sent, Series 9 episode. The music in it carries that episode so much. But the episode itself is just absolutely incredible. But the music is just so good with it.
But with Heaven Sent, describing it to someone, it shouldn't work whatsoever.
Describing it is boring, but watching it is absolutely incredible. We love it so much, don't we?
Yeah.
Such a good episode. And oh no, the TARDIS is gone. Oh, such a shame.
It's not like it can just teleport somewhere else.
Exactly.
For safety.
Exactly. It's not like the Doctor can also just call it, but we don't talk about that. Oh dear. Oh dearie, dearie, dear. I will say, you know, the characters in this, they do feel human, but they also don't as well. They just feel so generic.
Yeah, it's almost like 2.5D.
Yeah, it's like 2.5D. It's not quite 3D, but it's definitely not 2D. Like, it's just not all there. You know, there's some bits there which I think should be added. But, you know, there's also a lot of stuff that I would just take away from the episode as well. I think, in all fairness, the 45-minute format for this episode, I think hinders this episode a lot.
Yeah, that's always been a problem I find with New Who, especially the 45-minute syndrome. I dub it.
Yeah.
You have to do everything within 45 and put it back in the box.
Yeah. Now, Bolero. Bolero. Why the fuck Bolero? Well, there's a bit of music in it.
Why wouldn't it?
Yeah, why wouldn't it be Bolero? Oh, by the way, really nice drill up there. Yeah, I totally believe that's there. Thank you very much. I totally believe everything's there.
Especially that black hole.
I'm not going to lie. If you're that close to a black hole and you're standing on that planet, you would be sucked up. I'm sorry, but you just would. Right?
Well,
now granted, I'm no meteorologist. I'm no astrologist, sorry. Right? I don't know realistically the first thing about a black hole, but I do know that any black hole sucks you in. I don't know from how much of a distance, but if they say that this planet should be sucked up, then you should also be sucked up. You're a lot lighter than a planet.
Theoretically, you should be a lot.
You should be a lot lighter than a planet. I mean, if you're not lighter than a planet, then I suggest, you know, losing a tiny bit of weight. But, you know, just a little bit. But, yeah. By the way, this scene is amazing. I fucking love this scene.
Yeah, bringing the voice actor who played Sutek from Pyramid of Mars.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
He had a terrifying voice then. He still has it now.
Hell, I would say he's got an even more terrifying voice now. You know, again, like, it's just so generic. You're so generic. But, look, at the end of the day, generic characters aside, which I find a problem with most RTD episodes in the era. A lot of the characters are generic. Right? A lot of them are. Although some of them are the odd exception.
Like
right?
Captain Jack up.
Yeah, Captain Jack is definitely not generic. Bit random.
Bit preachy.
Just a bit, yeah, just a bit.
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah, sure. I just think that with RTD, for most of his characters that aren't integral to the plot, like these characters, they aren't that integral. You could, honest to God, cut about 3 of them out, and it wouldn't make a difference. You could say that this is a rescue place, and people have yet to come in. Done. Skeleton crew, all done. 2 people. That's all you need. And it would make it so much better.
With a handful of food, just to help them out.
A handful of food, not too much. That transition's sick. I love that transition. Now, this scene, when I was younger, freaked me the fuck out. Oh, that voice. I would go gay for that voice. I would go gay for that voice, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. Oh, I love this scene so much. I love it. I want to marry this. Is it possible to marry a scene? No. Okay, I won't marry a scene then.
Well, it's current years. You can do anything, I suppose.
Yeah, I self-identify as a scene, so yes, I can. I mean,
It must be that ugly if one sight can kill.
Turns around and it's Margaret Thatcher. Her balls drop 50 feet.
And survived another, 20,000 years?
Yeah. I mean, that would be one plot twist if it was Harriet Jones. Or Margaret Thatcher. Or fuck, even Boris Johnson. What's the new one? Rishi Sunak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this transition as well. Look.
Oh yeah. By the way, you could see the letters when he was taking off his gloves. But that's just, not...
Here or there.
That's just not here or there. That can happen with anything. Red contact lenses.
So-
You fucking love them.
Not obvious enough.
Although, to be fair, I was genuinely going to go to a Halloween costume party as that. But I was like, it's going to take so fucking long
Just
to
for
do all that makeup and
I-
make it accurate. And also the red contact lens as well. And also the costume. I was like, yeah, no, it's just going to take way too
The
long.
costume wouldn't be too hard to recreate.
I know, it's just jeans and a blue shirt. But it's more of like, that makeup is just so long-winded. But it would be cool. It would be really cool to see. Okay, right. Right. So, I got to ask, right? So, all this fine, right? Obviously, that black hole is just sucking in everything, right?
Well, it's a black hole.
It's a black hole. It's just going to suck in everything, right? But why the fuck? Why the fuck isn't, like... First off, how the fuck did they even make this base?
Let alone get to the planet.
Yeah. How did they get to the planet? I mean, I think that's actually been revealed, to be fair, how they get to the planet. And also, it's the same way out. They just follow that 666 thing. But how the fuck did they even build this place? Because surely, yes, the planet is safe, but they wouldn't have had any oxygen, of course, because all that would have been sucked away. Right? Like,
Besides the oxygen on their back,
besides the oxygen on the back, which wouldn't be enough to build this,
let alone to keep making oxygen.
right? Like,
With all
this
the,
place should not exist. This whole base should not exist. Because anything that they would have put down would have been ripped up.
because of the constant earthquakes.
Yeah, the constant earthquakes, the pressure from the black hole, and yes, there would be fucking pressure from it,
Well, yeah.
right? And also, like, I'm not being funny,
even if they have like a forest garden thing to make more oxygen,
Yeah.
that's going to be ripped up.
Yeah.
Because of either the black hole or the earthquake from the black hole.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, the planet itself, right? The planet itself will not go into the black hole because of the beast. Right? Okay, that's fine. Right?
Yeah, you can make that for this story, fair enough.
Yeah, you can make that up for the story, that's fine. It's sci-fi, don't give a fuck. But anything on that planet, any sort of material on this planet would have been ripped away from that black hole.
Because it's not mentioned anything about atmosphere pressure and that.
Exactly.
If it even had atmosphere.
I mean, it can't do because they need a
suit
to go outside. Right? Like, the only reason I could ever think of, like, oh, by the way, phone call. Who left their phone on? Ah! To be fair, if I got a message saying he's awake, I would throw it away too.
I'll question it first of who's this?
Or if it was the Go Compare Man. Of course, everything goes back to it, doesn't it? The Go Compare Man, everything. But like, going back to what I was saying, anything on that planet should have been ripped up from that black hole. Anything.
Yeah, and let alone anything out of that potential tunnel.
Yeah. Like, anything outside of that tunnel, right, from a certain distance, should have been,
ripped.
Gone by now. I mean, for one thing, how long has that black hole actually been there? Never explained.
Well, I would have thought a few thousand years because of, like
obviously
this.
The beast, right? Obviously the beast. He's been there for probably millennia, before time.
They say.
Right? Which I find absolutely bullshit because someone would have fucking found that black hole. But okay, this I don't get. I really don't get this. Right? I know what's causing it. Spoiler alert, the beast is causing it. Right? But how can the beast, honest to God, interfere with this? Honest to God, how?
I would have thought.
And why aren't the Ood going completely insane? You know what I mean? Like,
I would have thought it'd be biblical possession.
I mean, possession maybe, but no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. It just isn't. Like, the devil, like, possessing someone, for one thing, like, they would also, and bearing in mind, this is just coming from The Conjuring here, but they would also need to accept them in. The Ood wouldn't have ever accepted them at all. And I know this is just Conjuring, right? I know this is just The Conjuring I'm speaking of, but in The Conjuring, they have to actively accept him or accept any sort of demonic presence into them. They have to accept it, because otherwise they won't, like, interfere or anything.
But
like, not really. I mean, sure, they'd interfere, but not, like, possess anyone.
But if we go with Planet the Ood logic,
yeah,
the doctor says, cutting off their second brain,
yeah,
gets rid of your emotions and your question of reason, right? Since also they also have that second brain removed in this, hence the orbs.
Yeah,
translate
orb.
Right? They also won't have the reason.
But they would still have the hive mind. That's the thing, they still have the hive mind, so they wouldn't be able to. Sorry if you can hear any talking in the background, by the way. I can't help that, it's outside. Now, again, Toby should have been floating up to the black hole by now. Hell, we see that later on in this episode. I think it's about 5 minutes away. We see this. Right?
You can.
Why do you think there are so many earthquakes on this planet? Because of that black hole. Well, I'm sorry, but
You can explain this. Obviously, he's possessed by the devil.
yeah, and he's just dragging him down. Right? You can explain that because the devil can just do anything. Essentially, the devil is just super fucking powerful in this, which I have no problems with. Right? I have absolutely no problem with that. Also, this very iconic horror. This is just, smashing a window, getting sucked out. We love it. But it's just so frustrating because when you ask a simple question,
It should have a basic answer.
it should have a very, very simple answer, which the episode never ever gives. And I know that's more of like a me issue where, yeah, I do just ask questions, but you should ask questions.
That's
You should ask questions.
That's how you grow as a person.
Yeah. Like, how was this place built? It doesn't matter. It's just here. Well, no, that just won't be good enough. That's just not good enough at all. I want a proper answer of how this place is actually here.
How did it?
How the fuck did they build it?
How did they discover this planet?
Yeah,
Considering it's so unnatural.
yeah. And why is the black hole not affecting anything on the planet whilst not affecting the planet? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no vegetation on the planet. Granted, I don't think there would be anyway, but there's no vegetation.
For them to also do the basic of breathing, for example.
Yeah. I mean, the civilization on the planet, because, spoiler, later on there is a fucking civilization on this planet, right? Or at least there was. Where will they gone? They've probably gone into a black hole. Right?
Or just pop to the shops, either way.
Or just pop to the shops. What, Space Tesco?
Oh, yeah. But, joking aside, but where did they go?
Right. So, this is what I'm speaking about. So, anything that is not apparently connected to the planet is allowed to just float away. Right? Okay, you could say that it's been bolted to the planet. Guess what? Bolts come loose.
Over time.
Over time. And especially because of that black hole, it just would. Right? And I will say, she would have already been gone by now. I'm sorry, but she would have. Right? She would have been gone by now. She would have been in the black hole. Right? You can't introduce something like a black hole and not have it do black hole things.
Take like Hawkins radiation.
Yeah.
The time dilution on that body, she would have been also stretched and everything else.
Horrible stuff. And take Wild Enough in Time, for example. Right? Time gets fucked up by it. So how the fuck is this base not affected by it? How?
Let alone the rest of the planet.
Exactly.
Like on
no sense.
Like the black hole side against the rest of space side of the planet.
It just makes no sense. I don't think it makes any sense, personally. However, that's just the basics of the episode that I have a problem with. If you just don't ask questions about the basics of the episode and the overall science of it, then you will find a very, very, very good base undersea story. And that's just a fact. Right? But the problem is, when you do ask questions about the basics, the episode sort of just falls apart at the seams.
But if you do that to pretty much any episode of Doctor Who, I find they will crumble.
Yeah, but it also needs to be a better written story. And to be fair, credit to Chibnall here, and that's not a sentence I would normally say, but credit to Chibnall.
I'll say again anyway.
Right? You apply logic to any of his episodes, and it actually works. Right? Revolution of the Daleks.
That's the second Dalek
Yeah,
one.
the second Dalek story of the Chibnall era. Right? Every single thing political about that episode is 100% accurate. Right? 100%. That is exactly how they would do it. Like, thoughts on your episode aside, that's exactly what happens. So to me, the episode is more consistent and more, like, just more interesting to ask questions about and actually get the answers that you would want from them instead of saying, I don't know, you know?
They just do, I suppose.
They just do, apparently. But no, in Revolution of the Daleks, it's actually completely accurate. This episode, to me, isn't. I mean, because otherwise, if you said, okay, right, let's try and fix this. Bit of a brainstorm. Let's say that the entire 666 thing is around the planet.
Right.
So that way, no matter what, everything on there is safe. Right? Everything on there is safe. The minute you get out of there is when you're fucked.
Yeah.
So therefore, Susie being there, right, she would just stay on top of the glass.
Yeah.
Right? That would have been a bit grim, so why not just leave her to die on the planet, right?
Or if the beast wants you to leave the planet, to say, orbit like she did in that scene earlier, he can just go,
Earthquake, done. Right? Done. Simple as you like. Right? Okay. Well done, Rose! And by the way, I think this is the longest time in any of the episodes in Series 2 where I think Rose has actually been decent. Rose is actually really good in this episode. I have no real problems with Rose, apart from that one line. Don't forget to brave. Raven's good.
Now, tell us other basic things, Rose. Sky is blue.
The sky is blue. I like the sky. Food is nice. I like food.
Makes hunger go away.
Makes hunger go bye-bye. Oh dear. So a bit of an interesting fact about this. So this was obviously filmed in a quarry.
Like most Doctor Who sets are.
Yeah. But when it came to the actual thing in the middle, the opening, they genuinely just used a giant green screen thing. So they were just there, just standing on a green screen, but inches away from it. Fucking hilarious if you have a look at it. Fucking hilarious. Oh, look at that! So what happened to them?
Space Tesco's.
Space Tesco! The fucking black hole ate them. Done. Simple as that. Right? They either fucked off or the black hole had them.
Either way, tell us.
Please tell us. It would literally take you 3 seconds. The black hole ate them. Done. How long was that to write in? 2 seconds.
Not that.
Okay, so, bit of a funny story, right? So, do you remember Doctor Who Battles in Time?
Yeah, the card.
Yeah, the little card game. So, one of the cards you could get in the original set was the Doctor in spacesuit. Right? And it was a common. It was only a common card. And the only reason why I know it was a common, and why I know that was a card, is because I'm looking at it in eBay years and years and years and years and years ago, and it was genuinely going for, and it was a joke, but it was genuinely going for £999,999 for fucking common. I was like, holy shit, I'm never going to get it. Next pack, I got it. Oh, that was a golden year of Doctor Who, that was. That was a good year. So, okay, sure, that's fine. They have the technology
To have
make
lasers.
to have lasers, essentially.
You know, what, 2,000-ish years plus in
Yeah.
our future.
And yet they still use a fucking drill.
And bullets.
And bullets. Well done. Well done. Well done. Around 30 feet in diameter. No, it's not. It's not. It's about, I'd say about 30 feet actually. Possibly. Maybe 20. It's in the dark for them. It's in the light for us. So, this reveal. Right? This reveal, I don't know.
For the second episode
For
of
the
this.
second episode, it's fine. But for this episode, I'm not going to lie, it sort of just seems hollow. Because the Beast's just been acting in secret all this time. So why the fuck would he just suddenly reveal himself now?
Not just that, for the second episode, you wouldn't trust Toby whatsoever.
No, you wouldn't. And you, honest God, wouldn't. You would never ever trust him. In fact, you would do one better. You would shoot him. Right now you would. Yes, the Beast would most likely find a way to
Possess something else.
possess something else and just possess the bullet instead, you know. I don't fucking know, but you know. But it just seems sort of hollow. Like, you didn't need to do this at all.
Because if it was any other franchise, like, I don't know, Nightmare on Elm Street, Chucky, or, you know, the villain won't show himself willingly.
No, they wouldn't. Like, I get it for the cliffhanger, because it does make a really good cliffhanger, and it does. But what I would do instead is have a massive earthquake instead. Right? Have a massive earthquake and make like some rubble appear by the door. They have to then move the rubble. Massive earthquake going about. Like, things are breaking all over the place. There you go. Right? That's that part sorted. The doctor and the woman, right, they're down by the pit as usual. That's fine. All done. Because all that's happened in this episode, all that's happened realistically, because basically nothing happens in this episode. He has no fucking name.
God, red shirt here.
Oh, definite red shirt. He appeared for all the 3 seconds in the episode. I'm convinced it was one on a blue Peter. Appeared for 3 seconds in a Doctor Who episode.
Wouldn't surprise me if he was part of a Blue Peter contest. Like the Absorbaloff.
Oh god, the Absorbaloff. Oh, I bet you can't wait to get there, to that episode, can you?
Yes and no.
What is your guilty pleasure? You must absolutely love it. Must be your favourite episode.
For all the wrong reasons is a guilty pleasure.
Okay, look. So there's an earthquake. Like I said. And the beast has sort of infected the ooze somehow.
Some biblical nonsense.
Biblical nonsense. Yada-da-da-da-da. There we go. Right. Okay. Right.
And how is he opening the seal if it's meant to be sealed
Exactly.
for like an eternity?
Exactly. I don't...
And
again, it just feels really hollow.
And even if it's not him opening the seal, why now opening the seal?
Exactly.
And why has the beast decided to turn off the gravity off now for this?
I don't get it. I really don't get it.
I know it's a throwaway line, but like,
But you got to think, why is the Beast practically endangering himself? He wouldn't do that. And this is a cop-out ending, by the way. That's a cop-out ending. There is nothing rising from that pit. Nothing. Hey, look. He's one of our teacher's brothers, Will Thorpe.
Yeah.
You got a signature, ain't you?
Yeah. Still do.
Nice. Nice one. Oh, dear. So, what did you think of this episode?
I mean, it's a Series 2 story.
Yeah.
So it's going to be down there.
Yeah.
On the whole. But as it is, compared to all the other episodes from this series and other episodes,
next time on Doctor Who,
it's still a decent episode, and if not the only decent episode in the series that's double bill.
So, what I would say with this episode, in all honesty, right? Yes, it's a great episode, right? And it is, but I don't think it's that great anymore, right? I think it could have been so much better than what it currently is. Now, that's a shock to me to say. That really is a shock, because I honest to God thought going into this episode that it was going to be a 10 out of 10. It's not. That is not a 10 out of 10 episode. Not in a million years, is it? In all honesty, I would honest to God have to rate it. And this is purely of the atmosphere, the world building and the character building and everything in this episode. I would honest to God have to rate it a 6. And that is shocking to me.
I would say it's a low 7.
Yeah, low 7, high 6. It's around there. I thought this episode was a 10, but it's just not. Like, I think that this episode has aged poorly. I think, like, not in terms of visuals, because you can't help visuals. Like, compared to nowadays, nowadays episodes, modern episodes blow it out of the water when it comes to graphics and visuals and all that nonsense. But
let alone in the next 60 years.
Yeah, but funny enough, the visuals still hold up even nowadays, right? Even now, they still hold up. I mean, the black hole is absolutely incredible, but in all fairness, I would just have to rate it a 6. Like, it's so, like, I think the problem is with this episode, which I think makes it a 6 for me, is this episode I think could have been an hour long.
Well, it doesn't help. It's already a 2-part, but
no, an hour long episode, but only make it one episode. Right, just an hour long. You could have cut you could have cut half an hour of this episode. Nothing would have changed. You could have already made it to where shit's starting to go wrong. Right? You could have already started it then. And it wouldn't have made a difference. And then you wouldn't need to, like, just plod about for about 20 minutes. Doing nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the daily life of these characters. Like, for one thing, I'm not interested in that. I want to see the Doctor take on the Beast. But, no. I don't get to see that in this episode. I don't see the Beast at all in this episode. I know that's on purpose, but
it's not the point
it's
you're
not
trying.
The point. Like, sure, you saw the Beast do shit, but that's only realistically superficial stuff. And it is.
If anything, that's like little pranky things you do in the workplace.
Yeah.
Like put a whoopee cushion down or...
Yeah. You know, or break a window in this case. But, you know, it's sort of like in Rise of the Cybermen. The Cybermen show up so late in the episode, and yet they're so prevalent throughout it. Right? But yet in this episode, the Beast, sort of shows up at the very end, is prevalent throughout it, but you never actually
see him do stuff.
See him do anything, not really. But to me it's a 6, to you it's a low 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that does it for this episode of the Blue Tardis podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It's good to be back.
Finally.
I know it's been a long time, but things happen, life happens. Yeah. Next week will be the Satan Pit, so yeah, I shall see you next time. Goodbye.